Hi guys, in this hair tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to create two large cornrow styling on our model Cayenne here. As you can see, her hair is freshly shampooed and conditioned and partly blow dried. If you need to prepare your hair, we have a hair tutorial video on how to do hair prep for type 4 hair textures and also how to blow dry and smooth out type 4 hair textures, similar to Cayenne's hair texture that she has here. The first thing I will be doing, even though the hair is partly prepped in terms of the blow drying, if you can look at the root area, it's a little bit more slightly frizzy, so I need to smooth that a little bit more. What I will be doing is I'm going to add my moisturizing product on the hair, and I'm going to add a heat protecting serum because I'm going to be using some heat on the hair in a moment. And I'm just going to use my paddle brush to just smooth out the roots a little bit more, which will make it much more easier to create a really nice smooth slick finish on the braid itself. We have covered a hair tutorial on how to do braiding techniques in terms of the cornrow. So if you need to learn more about how to position your fingers, what products to use when you're doing your cornrow techniques, your sectioning techniques as well, we already have a tutorial video that you can watch on that. But if you already know how to do these methods of styling, then we can go ahead with the styling of the two large cornrows that we're going to be doing. So like I said, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prep the hair a little bit more, and then I'll go ahead and do that. I will reference what products I need to use, although they are covered in the other tutorial video that we've covered on how to do cornrow techniques. I will reference that we're going to be using my edge control product to help to slick the hair and position the hair as we do the braiding process. I might possibly use a little bit of my gel, which will be the Got to Be Glued gel that I have here, and that might help to add a little bit more of a hold and a firm hold on the hair that I want to see there. I will be laying her baby hairs around the front there just to finish the style. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our styling. So we've blow dried Cayenne's hair and smoothed it out a little bit more, and we're ready to start the sectioning of the hair. Like I said, we're aiming to create two large cornrows. I will be keeping my section right straight in the middle. Although if you wanted to do this slightly more on the creative side, you can just play around with the positioning of your section. You can either start just off center or even lower from the temple area here and then sectioning that out still into the two. But for Cayenne, we're just going to keep it nice and straight in the middle, and then I'll be braiding that at an angle so it creates a triangular shape as a starting point. Instead of going straight down, I always like to have it a little bit more starting as a triangular shape and slightly following the frame or the shape of her hairline, and then bring that towards the nape area there. So I'm just going to turn her slightly to the side and then section that out straight in the middle. I use her nose, the bridge of her nose, as my guide to help me to try and keep that as straight as I can possibly get it to be. Okay, so just make sure you have your section clips to help you to keep the hair that you're not going to be working on out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to start with the left hand section here. So this is nicely sectioned out. She does have very thick hair and it's a lot. So whenever you're braiding a large size of cornrow and you're working with long hair and it's very thick, you will have to take your time because your fingers can only create so much tension while you're working with this. So you're going to have to try your best to create as much tension as you can so that the braid doesn't sit too loose. I will be using my edge control product to help with that really nice finish that we want to see on the hair. I'm using the Mixed Chicks styling tamer, and that's just going to be lightly applied around the sides, focusing the root around the root area specifically. And then the first thing I'll do is just do this part here. Once I'm happy with the hair that I have slicked back, I will then focus on whether I'm going to be styling out the baby hairs and how much I'm going to leave out. So This glaze is just applied throughout the sides here all the way through to the back. Like I mentioned before, we've covered how to do this process in our tutorial on how to do your cornrow technique for your type 4 hair textures. But that cornrow method can also be transferable and used for any other hair textures. It's just that we were specifically working on a type 4 hair model when we created the cornrow styling. So the fact that this hair is a little bit more hair that I'm working with here, I am bringing that glaze a little bit further up the hair. So once you apply the glaze, you're just going to comb that into the hair a little bit more just to smooth it down. And you notice that I'm using my hand, or my fingers should I say, to help to smooth and press the product down a little bit further into the hair. So once you're happy with the glaze that you have, if you need to add a little bit more, you're just going to work that in just a little bit more. So Kyan already has a little bit of baby hair there. So whenever I do baby hairs, I don't like to leave out a whole lot of hair. So I just work with the natural forming amount of baby hair that we have. And that's what I'm going to be styling out towards the end of this part of the styling process. Right, I'm happy with the amount that I have here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just section out a starting point. Because I want to keep that nice and narrow, I'm naturally going to start with a very small amount of hair, okay? Again, keeping my fingers low to the scalp, applying the required tension, I'm going to start the process of braiding that hair. So I just braid that in and keep it nice and secure. I'm intentionally picking up a small amount of hair at a time to make sure everything fits in nicely. So I'm just going to continue the process of braiding at this point. But like I said, if anyone's new to this method of styling, or you need to kind of learn it from the beginning and know how to position your fingers, you can watch our tutorial video on how to do cornrow styling. So I am stopping and picking up hair as I go. And because I want the hair to sit slightly more to the middle, I am naturally picking up the section and pulling it towards where my hand is positioned. And if I need to add a little bit more of the glaze, I will do that as I go. Again, as I get lower to just past the crown area there, I will keep on maintaining that level of tension that I had from the beginning and just following the flow of the line as it gets lower to the scalp area. I'm just using my fingers to smooth out the hair a little bit more, keeping it nice and tight. So I'm going to braid this out all the way to the ends. If the hair feels or looks like it's not going to hold, you can put a small elastic band on the ends. Or if the hair is a little bit feathered on the ends, just try your best to braid it out all the way through to the very ends of that hair. Okay, so there we go, we've got our first braid in, and when we finish, we just tidy up around the front there so it's nice and firm. We've got that nice starting point where it starts off quite narrow and then it gradually goes into a wider section. So your aim is just to try your best to keep your fingers as low as you can, getting it nice and tight and secure, and just working the best that you can to create the tension so that it holds. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next line on our right hand section here to match what we have on the left hand side. Hi guys, so we've completed our 2 large cornrows on Cayenne's hair. I went ahead and I styled out the baby hairs, and like I did on the first one in terms of applying my products and keeping that tension, I repeated the same process on the right hand side. So that's how you create your 2 large cornrows on your type 4 hair texture. Specifically, the products that we use, they're geared towards those hair textures, but you can also take this technique and use that on any other hair texture that you might be styling. And for finishing, the only thing that I would be putting on the hair is possibly just the light shine spray to finish the hair. I did also add a little bit of the black elastic bands on the ends just to make sure that the hair was 100% secure. So that's how we create our 2 large cornrow styles.